I am announcing today that the Government has approved the publication of the report of the Scoping Inquiry into Historical Sexual Abuse in day and boarding schools run by religious orders. This is the first time, and we shouldn't underestimate this, this is the first time that the scale of child sexual abuse allegations in schools run by religious orders has been disclosed, based on information supplied by religious orders themselves and by survivors. It covers schools all across the country. The Scoping Inquiry reported that it has been told of 2,395 allegations of sexual abuse relating to over 300 schools in 22 counties. The level of abuse is shocking. It is truly shocking. And so is the number of alleged abusers. There were 884 alleged abusers in schools of 42 religious orders who currently or previously ran schools in Ireland. I secured Cabinet approval this morning for the establishment of a commission of investigation, which is the principal recommendation of the report. The Scoping Inquiry had a trauma-informed survivor engagement process so that interviews were conducted sensitively and confidentially. The views of participants in that process have informed the recommendations of the report. I want to say sincerely how grateful I am to the survivors for coming forward and sharing their experiences. They have shown extraordinary courage, and what they have contributed is invaluable. The Scoping Inquiry could not have happened without them, and they are absolutely central to the report we are publishing today. The report is a harrowing document and contains participants' descriptions of appalling sexual abuse and violence. This includes abuse being perpetrated in front of other children. It is therefore only right, as I outlined earlier, that those survivors should receive the report first, and arrangements have been made to share it with them before it's been made more generally available this evening. As many of the survivors who participated in the Scoping Inquiry are now older, they have been able to speak about the lifelong impact of childhood sexual abuse. Participants in the inquiry told us that it led to the premature end of their childhood. It affected their academic performance in school. It caused mental health issues and the use of alcohol or drugs to numb painful feelings. It damaged survivors' relationships with their family and even their own children. Some survivors were unable to visit their parents' graves because their abuser was buried nearby in a plot in the same graveyard. Some survivors said they left Ireland specifically to get away from memories of sexual abuse. To read the accounts in the report of the lasting effects on so many aspects of people's lives is devastating. In truth, our schools should be places of haven, not horror. Our students should be able to experience learning, fun, and friendship in school, not fear, and certainly not fright. There are, of course, so many people, both religious and lay, who have dedicated their lives to education and do so with the best possible intentions and always have the best interests of the children in their care. I know they will be horrified by the contents of this report today. But today is not about those people. Today is about shining a light on the actions of abusers during a dark, distressing, and horrific period in our history. These were the people who were meant to build up children and young people in their care. Instead, they broke them down. These abusers betrayed trust. They betrayed innocence. They betrayed the beauty and joy that should be at the core of childhood. A high-level group will work on the terms of reference for the Commission starting immediately. It is very clear from the report that survivors want accountability, and a statutory inquiry with the necessary powers is required. It is important to say that much has changed since the darkest days described by many participants in the survivor engagement process. And I am glad to note that the report found that the current child protection systems and frameworks in schools are robust. The safety of children today is described in the report as a matter of paramount importance to survivors, and for some, it was one of the reasons why they came forward to the scoping inquiry. Nonetheless, there are recommendations relating to further strengthening child protection in schools, and my department is examining those to ensure that they receive priority attention. The report has a number of further recommendations which will be looked at by the high-level group. Included in the recommendations are the consideration to be given by government to establishing a redress scheme for survivors of historical sexual abuse in day and boarding schools run by religious orders. It also makes recommendations relating to improving the experience of survivors in legal processes and on appropriate memorialisation. There are further recommendations that relate to the Commission of Investigation, and those will be worked through as the terms of reference are drawn up. From my heart, I want to say, uppermost in my thoughts today are the survivors. I want to thank them for their patience and their courage. I know that they have been waiting to see this report. I wish to remember and acknowledge in particular the late Mark Ryan, who with his brother David was instrumental in the establishment of the scoping inquiry. He is also very much in our hearts today, and I am mindful that the first anniversary of his passing is approaching in the coming weeks. I want to acknowledge too that there are many other people whose work and advocacy have brought us to this important moment, and to extend my sincere gratitude to everyone who has contributed to this process in any way, whether through their own participation or the support for a family member or indeed a friend. I also want to thank the Scoping Inquiry team, led by Senior Counsel Mary O'Toole, and the Survivor Engagement led by Kieran McGrath for their diligent work in producing what is a very detailed and very thorough report. I am conscious that today is an important milestone for survivors, but it may nonetheless be emotional. Information on supports for survivors in Ireland and overseas has been sent to survivors with their copy of this report, and it is also available on the Scoping Inquiry website. Thank you.